Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another live edition of Chopping It Up with Ramel. Listen, this morning we're going to talk NFL and we're going to talk all NFL because there's a lot to talk about. But before we get started, I'm wearing the Minister Reggie White's jersey today because my family is in need of prayer this morning. I want to just extend prayer to my cousin parent as his mom is transitioning. One of the greats in the family transitioning back to the heavens. And just want you to know, parent, my cousin, love you. I'm with you. And as a family, we're all behind you. And may God bless you all. But let's talk about the NFL. Week two review. Listen, there's some good, there's some bad, there's some standouts, there's some undesirables. There's some that you got to keep an eye on. You got some teams that are playing extremely well, and then you have some teams that are just sorry. And I want to start off with one player because when I think of this player, he's a winner. And, no one has him as a top 5 quarterback in this league, but all he does is perform every year, week to week, no matter who's on the roster. Because since he's been to the Super Bowl, the team has been depleted, but yet he still manages to stay above. And that's Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, like I said, not too many people will look at him as this top 5 quarterback. But every year he keeps his team over 500. He puts them in a position to be in the playoffs. And you ask, who does he play with? Since the days they went to back-to-back Super Bowls, that team on defense has been depleted. The offense, they lose players all the time. And the only constant is Pete Carroll and himself. And all he does is just win, whether it's at home or away. I thought going into Pittsburgh, who was in need of a win after that ferocious loss, that horrific loss to Sunday night to New England, 33-3, probably the worst in recent history. You figured they would come out and want to play hard and play strong and be a tough opponent, especially being at home. No problem for Russell Wilson. He goes in there and throws for 300 yards and do what he does on the norm. Just on the reg. And this guy here, he's a leader. He's a winner. And he slides under the radar when we should be talking about him as a top 3 quarterback. And I know the top 3 quarterbacks, first that comes to mind is usually Breeze, Brady, and Rodgers. But Russell Wilson is as good as them, or not as good as them, but he should be mentioned in the sentence with the success that he's having in the league because he's doing just a fantastic job. And Seattle's off to 2-0. They traded for Jadeveon Clowney, and it would not surprise me if they're not finished making moves as they try to get back to the Super Bowl or make a deep run in the playoff. So it wouldn't surprise me if they make another move and have another trick up their sleeve. So, yes, Russell Wilson, as usual, he's part of the standout group. Another standout group, a person in the standout group, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, I don't know if it's Dak just working on his game or Dak with additional weapons or maybe the guy who might save Jason Garrett's job, which is Kellen Moore, the new offensive coordinator, the star quarterback from Boise State that's been in the league for about 5-6 years. Maybe he's bringing some of that college there. Maybe he's bringing some a mixture of plays that we haven't seen in the NFL or the Cowboys haven't seen. Because one of the knocks on the Cowboys offense over the last several years was they were so predictable. And with Kellen Moore at the helm as the offensive coordinator, a young player, a young guy for the position, he's bringing in a variety of plays and mixing it up. And the Dallas Cowboys is looking extremely strong. I mean, not only is Dak a standout right now, but the team itself is a standout. And the Cowboys is going to catch a break within the next 2 weeks because they play Miami and then they play New Orleans. And guess what? Drew Brees is not going to be there. And although that game is in New Orleans, I like Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's a starting quarterback in this league. I'm glad he's getting an opportunity to play these next 5 to possibly 6 weeks, and give himself an opportunity to show to the rest of the league what he's capable of doing. And perhaps if there's a quarterback carousel at the end of the season where quarterbacks are being dropped or retiring or whatever the case is, maybe he gets picked up and get a job for a full-time basis. Because I think in a 6-game absence, he's capable of taking New Orleans 4-2. I really do. I think he's that good of a quarterback. If he doesn't get injured in Minnesota, he's still in Minnesota as their franchise quarterback. That's how I see it. So the Cowboys, has a standout player in Dak, and they're a standout team at this time. What more can you say about them? I mean, they're playing great ball. The defense, they played a lot better in the second week opposed to the first week. But the Dallas Cowboys, in my mind, is a team to keep an eye on going forward, especially if my Eagles continue to drop with injuries left and right. They could have no problem securing this division, especially if they can get off to a 4-0 start, 5-0 start, maybe a 5-1 start. They could be a tough team, and as they go throughout this stretch and start winning ball games, they get more confident. Zeke gets his feet together, gets his timing together, and before you know it, they're going to be a tough team to beat, a tough out. I wouldn't be surprised how far they go. Are they a Super Bowl team? I won't say that yet, but are they a contender? Absolutely. Dallas, again, has a standout player in Dak, and they have a standout team as we speak. Another standout player, and he's flying under the radar. I don't know if anybody saw this coming. I didn't quite see it coming, but I believe he's a player, and he's here to stay, and that's Michael Vick 2.0, and that's Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson right now is telling Baltimore, you made the right move by trading Joe Flacco for a 7th-round pick. Because what he's doing right now, first of all, he made history on Sunday. The first quarterback, and this is impressive, the first quarterback to throw for 250 yards and rush for 120 yards in the same game. Now, I would have thought Michael Vick did that at least once. I would have thought maybe Randall Cunningham did that. One of the most underrated quarterbacks to ever play the game. Yeah, he played for this team along with this guy. And maybe even Steve Young might have done that. But the fact that Lamar Jackson has done that in his second year, and really his first year where he's been given the reins of the team, is very impressive. And you know, one thing about Baltimore, they're one of those teams kind of like what Pittsburgh was once upon a time, because I think they fell off a little bit in this category, what the Giants was, what the Bears was. The Baltimore Ravens, they always seem to have defense. They always seem to have defense. And currently right now, the Baltimore Ravens defense is playing well. And Lamar Jackson is probably benefiting off of some good field position, but at the same time, he's capitalizing as well. Lamar Jackson is here to stay. He's Mike Vick 2.0. I mean, the guy is very impressive. They said when he gets to the league, he's going to have to change his position. Yeah, how you like him now? How you like him now? He was near perfect in week 1. And like I said, first quarterback to throw for 250 yards and rush for 120 in the same game. Very impressive. Keep an eye on that guy. Right now, Baltimore is 2-0. With Pittsburgh without Big Ben, who knows which way they go. I'm sure they're going to look to make the playoffs because it's not one of those things, well, let's look for our future quarterback. in the next draft because they just traded their number one pick of the next season for Minkah Fitzpatrick out of Miami, the defensive back. So they're going for it. They're going for it. So here's the thing. Baltimore Ravens right now could be the best team in that division as a symbol. You know, the Cleveland Browns with a win last night, you know, they got a lot of expectations and others have expectations for them. They have a lot of talent, but until they kind of hone that in and get it to the point where it's consistent, you know, the Ravens might have a step on them because the Ravens is really returning the same team. And keep in mind, you know, I always talk about the Ravens always having defensive players. This is a team that went out in the offseason and got Earl Thomas to anchor the back end of that defense. What more can you ask for? What more can you ask for when you add Earl Thomas to a team that is known for defense and always have defense? It's like having a quarterback on defense when you add Earl Thomas, one of the best safeties that ever played this game. You know, that's like having Ed Reed back there again. And maybe even better because I think he's more physical than Ed Reed. Ed Reed, to me, was more of a cover safety. You know, you're just not getting past him. But I believe Earl Thomas, he brings the wood. He brings the wood. So keep an eye on Baltimore. As I said, they have a standout player. And Lamar Jackson, he's off to a sensational start. Just keep an eye on him. When you're talking about quarterbacks, and you're talking about sensational starts, standout, yeah, Tom Brady is off to a great start. They beat up on Miami 43-0. I think the local high school can beat up on Miami. But you cannot talk about quarterbacks without saying something about Pat Mahomes in Kansas City. What Pat Mahomes is doing in Kansas City is like a video game. Unbelievable. Guy throws for 400 yards. He throws 4 touchdowns in the second quarter. What is it that he can't do? Is this the year for Kansas City? I believe they may have to go 15-1, minimum 14-2 to host the AFC Championship game in Kansas City. Otherwise, they're going up to Foxborough, and you know it's tough to win there. It's tough to win in Foxborough. So I'm looking at they're going to have to be 15-1. But what Pat Mahomes is doing is sensational. You know, I talked about Dak Prescott being a standout in the early part of the season, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson. As well as they're playing, Pat Mahomes is still ahead of them. Unbelievable. Unbelievable what Pat Mahomes is doing right now. Kansas City is definitely a favorite to come out of the AFC. They just got to get past New England. But they're a favorite. And I think they need some defense. And I believe that they're going to be one of the teams that's going to be very active. And I hope this team is very active and looking to call up Jacksonville and make the trade for Jalen Ramsey. Because the Eagles, along with Kansas City, need some cornerback help, some defensive help. Philly, get on the horn, give up a first-round pick and a player, and get Jalen Ramsey to Philadelphia. Because what I saw the other night on Sunday night with Ridley just getting past everybody down in the dome, getting past everybody against the Eagles, they need help at corner. They need help at the corner position. Jalen Ramsey will be the answer for the Philadelphia Eagles. And also, he'll be very helpful for the Kansas City Chiefs. Because both teams need defense. Jalen Ramsey is the latest football player to act like an NBA player, to go into his office and say, I want out. Trade me. He's the latest. Look, it starts with Le'Veon Bell, people. It started with him. He said, I'll forego the season. After this, I'm out of here. Antonio Brown came up with all kind of excuses, from the feet to the helmet to the name calling, and then he gets out of there. Minka Fitzpatrick, he says he demanded a trade after game 1. He's out of there. Jalen Ramsey is on the sideline, carrying on with his coach, goes into the office. He says, you know what? I want out of here. Eagles, make the call. We need help in the backfield. On the defensive side, Eagles, make the call. Call up Jacksonville, give them a first-round pick, and if you got to throw in a 5th-round pick, 4th-round pick, you do that too. Bring him to Philly. If not, watch Kansas City try to scoop him up. Jalen Ramsey is a player. He's unhappy. Remember when they went to the AFC Championship game? He was a defensive stud. Nothing has changed. He just don't want to be on a losing program. Philadelphia, scoop him up. Scoop him up. But Kansas City is a standout right now. They're 2-0. Pat Mahomes playing well. I mean, it's right now. I want to tell you something. What we're watching in the NFL, yes, I'm going to go there. We haven't seen this before. We have not seen this before. First of all, we haven't seen this many African-American quarterbacks in the league. Whether they're starting or on the roster, we haven't seen this before. But guess what? They're balling. Jacoby Brissett, he got a big win against Tennessee this weekend. All the standouts that I mentioned happen to be African-American. This is the year. Oh, by the way, the number 1 draft pick, Kyler Murray, back-to-back 300 yards. This here is serious right now in the NFL. Deshaun Watson, Houston. Can you get an offensive line for him? It's the 8th straight game that he's been sacked 4 times or more. Can you get an offensive line for this guy? You have a stud behind the line of scrimmage there. Get a line for him. The guy's a stud. I mean, the only African-American quarterback that's not playing really up to his potential at this time might be Cam Newton. And Cam, I think he's hurt. I actually think Cam Newton is hurt to the point where he needs to maybe consider doing what Peyton Manning did. Just sit out. Take the year off, get your body right, rehab, and get back into it. I mean, Peyton Manning did it. Took a year off. They went 1-15. They decided to draft Luck. They decided to let him go. As a result of it, he gets picked up by Denver, goes to the Super Bowl twice. Win one, lose one. Take the time off, Cam. What we're seeing of Cam Newton right now is not the Cam Newton that we know. And if he was 100% healthy or 95% healthy, we'll be talking about him as a bad quarterback. But because what we know of Cam Newton, a college player of the year, college champion at Auburn, an MVP in this league, have taken his team to the Super Bowl. What we know of Cam, we give, at least I do, I give him the benefit of the doubt because this is not the Cam we know. He's got to be hurt. He's got to be hurt. And I look at the Carolina Panthers. They do him no justice. Because since they've been to the Super Bowl, all they did was subtract players from both sides of the ball. And then it says, Cam, go out there and win us games. The brightest spot or the best move they made since they went to the Super Bowl was drafting Christian McCaffrey. Otherwise, what move is a standout move? They're losing players left and right on both sides of the ball. Start with Steve Smith. So they can't possibly make the Super Bowl. And they barely have a shot at making the playoffs. So Cam, if you're out there, or if someone who knows Cam is out there and get in his ear, tell him to sit down and get yourself together. Because you made Jameis Winston look like a star on Thursday night when he beat you. And to me, Jameis Winston is very similar to you. Won a national title at Florida State. He's in the same division as you. I think he may be not the weakest of the African-American quarterbacks in the game, but he's not one of the best. But he looked like a star the other night. So Cam, if you're out there or if someone is out there who can get to him, tell him, sit it out. Get yourself right. Get yourself right. This is football. If you're hurt, you ain't going to get healed by playing. And these guys know if you're hurt, they're going after you. It's like a boxer. If you got a cut above the eye, they hitting that eye. That plain and simple. And Cam, you struggle with the referees protecting you. You struggle with your own offensive line protecting you. And you're a scrambler. You'll never get you'll never get healed by playing. Sit it out, Cam. You're better than what we're seeing. You're better than what we're watching. You're doing yourself a disservice and possibly your team. Sit it out. Sit it out. Watching the game last night, my New York Jets, they looked disgraceful last night. Unbelievable. 23-3. They down to their third string quarterback. I posted on my page that they need to go out there and sign Kaepernick. If you have any aspirations of maybe salvaging the season or possibly going to the playoffs, go out there and sign Kaepernick. Because it's not going to get done. It's not going to get done with the third string quarterback. So when I post that on my page, good friend of mine grew up in the building. He said, unless he can play cornerback. Listen, the Jets could use somebody in the defensive backfield. I agree with that. And I don't think trading for Jalen Ramsey makes sense because I don't think Jalen Ramsey will be happy to go from Jacksonville, that's 0-2, and go to the Jets, that's 0-2. All right? What the Jets need to do, and it's something they haven't done since the late 70s, early 80s, when they used to have the sack exchange, the Jets need to find a thumper on the line of scrimmage. You know, the last several years, the Jets sacks come from coverage sacks, not from somebody getting off the line of scrimmage and just getting to the quarterback. No, that doesn't happen. The Jets need a thumper on that line of scrimmage. You know, I watched the game last night. Myles Garrett was just out of control, getting to the quarterback. And he had some bad penalties. He's the reason why Trevor Siemian got hurt. But he's a thumper that gets to the quarterback and puts fear in a quarterback. We need that player. We haven't had that player in New York since Mark Astor and Joe Klecko. We need somebody that can get off the line of scrimmage and get to the quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback that can win you games. What I watched last night from the Jets, my team, along with the Eagles, but the Jets, watched them last night, was just pathetic. They should not have been on Monday Night Football. And they're lucky that Baker Mayfield is just not there yet. Because the game should not have been as close as it was. You know, you say 23-3. Oh, no, it wasn't that bad. They should have lost like 51-3. That's how bad it was. I mean, they couldn't touch Baker Mayfield. Yeah, he was moving around. He was trying to go for the home run plays. Had he just did some dinks and dunks like sometimes what Brady and what Dak was used to doing, man, they would have been moving and changing even easier. But no, he was looking for the home run plays. And that's what kept them in the game a little. Kept the score closer than what it should be. The Jets was horrible last night. And there's no other way to say it. And I don't know what the head coach Gase was doing. It just seemed like he was just too conservative. It was almost like, let me get through this game without getting my quarterback hurt. And Le'Veon Bell, I mean, you paid him the money, use him, but I'm sure he's in the ice bath right now because he was just getting hammered. Everything was going to him. And thank God it was, because that's the only way we was able to move the ball. And then eventually they started playing this prevent defense, and Robbie Anderson started catching a few passes. But what I'm saying to you is this. The Jets is horrible. And first of all, it starts with the front office, because I don't remember any success that Adam Gase has had in Miami. Why is he the head coach anyway? Why is he the head coach anyway? Can someone explain that to me? I don't recall Miami going to the playoffs. There's a reason why Miami let him go. But yet we scoop him up like he's the hottest thing on the market. And it showed last night that he don't have a clue. So yes, the Jets could use a cornerback. But more importantly, they need a thumper on that defensive line to get to the quarterback. Because if you're going to have weak quarterbacks on your offense, then you need to be taking advantage or trying to get great field position or a short field for him so that he can have less field to operate to at least get a field goal. Kind of somewhat like it was under Rex Ryan. Mark Sanchez went to back-to-back AFC Championship game in his rookie and sophomore year. Not that he was this stellar quarterback. No. It was because the defense gave him half the field when he got on the field for offense. And at that time, we didn't have a thumper on the line of scrimmage, but we had Revis Allen and we had Cromartie on the opposite side. And guess what? Those guys was covering their man, and eventually the coverage from downfield caused the sack up top. And Mark Sanchez had half the field to work with. And right now, the Jets, after the second week of the season, just in the season already. But they could go out there and sign Kaepernick. They could go out there and sign Kaepernick and salvage this season. But will they? That's the question. Will they? Will they go out there and sign Kaepernick to salvage this season? I got up this morning and I spoke about it earlier, and I noticed that my cousin, he's watching right now, Scoop Noble, and he has something on his Facebook page, and I already spoke about it today, and I want to let him know. You're 100% right. The Eagles need to give everything they have to get Jalen Ramsey and bring him to Philadelphia. Bring him to Lincoln Field. They need to go out there and get him. I can't say it enough. Because our cornerback situation looked horrible. They made Calvin Ridley look like Randy Moss on Sunday night. And Jalen Ramsey is a baller. He's a little arrogant and he can talk and run his mouth. But on the field, he puts it together. And guess what? No one ever held that against Deion Sanders. Nobody talked more than him. So yes, I agree with you, Scoop. We need, as an Eagles fan, we need to go get Jalen Ramsey. And yeah, Marcel, Kaepernick does make sense. It does make sense. Especially when you look around the league, and I don't know, this might hurt him. But I was talking about it earlier. The African-American quarterbacks are rolling this season. The only one that's struggling is Cam Newton, and he's hurt. Jameis looked good the other night. Deshaun Watson, if only they would block for him, yeah, the guy could be an MVP of this league. Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Dak, Lamar Jackson. Bring in Cap. This is the year. Bring him in. Bring him in. You brought in Jay-Z for social awareness. For crying out loud, bring Kaepernick back. You want to make a statement, Roger Goodell? It's not with Jay-Z. It's telling your CEO and your chairmen of these franchises, go out and sign Kaepernick. You know how big it would be if the New York Jets or the Pittsburgh Steelers went out and signed Kaepernick right now? You know how big that would be? I can see the Jets not signing him if they think Donald will be back because they want to go with the youth movement. But if Donald don't know when he's returning and you got aspirations to make the playoffs, go get Cap. The Steelers, you have no choice. I mean, Big Ben ain't coming back until next season. And all Cap need is just a one-year deal. You bring him in and you put pressure on that division. If Pittsburgh gets Kaepernick and what we remember last Kaepernick, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, that's still hot. That's better than he's still a top 10 quarterback. He's still a top 10 quarterback. So, Jets, Pittsburgh, this is your opportunity. Go against the grain. Is it about business or is it about winning? As a chairman of the team, is it about business or is it about winning? And let me tell you something. If it's about business, Kaepernick is going to improve your business. Just ask Nike. Just ask Nike. It didn't hurt Nike. So if you sign Kaepernick and you're about business, it's not going to hurt your business. It's going to elevate it if you want to know the truth. And how big would it be to have Kaepernick in New York? Think about that for a second. How big would it be to have Kaepernick in New York? Because right now, the best team in New York is the Buffalo Bills. They're 2-0, and they beat both New York teams at MetLife Stadium. That's a statement. So even if their records happen to be better than Buffalo at the end of the year, Buffalo can turn around and say, yeah, we're the best team in New York because we beat both of y'all. How about that? And they're the only team that actually plays in New York. So technically, they are the best team in New York. But how big would that be? How big would the Roonies, who came up with the Rooney rule that before you hire a coach, you must interview a minority candidate? Okay, they instituted that. Could they go against the grain and go sign Kaepernick? To stay in contention with maybe the Ravens? And if last night is an indication of what direction Cleveland's going to go in, to stay in contentions with them? Because an 0-4 start for the Pittsburgh Steelers, their season is over. And keep this in mind. Mike Tomlin's been there. This is his 13th year. He's never had a losing record. He's never had a losing season. Do you think he wants that? Do you think he wants a losing season? Bring on Kaepernick. Bring on Kaepernick. Pittsburgh, New York. Eagles trade for Jalen Ramsey before the Kansas City Chiefs does. This guy will not be in a Jaguar uniform by the end of the week. He will be traded. Eagles, get on top of that. And to the Giants, it's time to sit Eli Manning. You're not going nowhere. You're not going to sniff the playoffs. The only way you're going to the playoffs is if you buy a ticket. It's time for you to go start the youth movement. Because, I talked about the standouts early, and I mentioned all quarterbacks. I don't think there's a better running back in the game than Saquon Barkley. And the Giants is not even using him. Get 25 touches to this guy. The guy's getting 11, 13 touches and getting 120 yards a game. Use this guy. Give them the ball. At least you can keep your defense off the field. Get them some rest. And maybe you have a chance of winning the game. But Eli's shot. Get him out of there. He's not taking you to the playoff. And this respect, oh, he won 2 Super Bowls. We can't do him that way. Get him out of there. Get him out of there. Sit him. Sit him. Eli is no longer that guy. It's time to bring on the stud from Duke. And he didn't look too bad in preseason. If there's a team that's going with the youth movement, the Giants is that team. Go ahead and bring him in. Because what's going to happen, you're going to have Barkley in 2 years talking about, yeah, I want out of here. He's going to go in there and demand a trade because he's not going to want to stay there for a team that's going to be 4-win teams for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Might as well see what you got and do it now. All right, that's going to do it for me. I appreciate everyone who's tuning in. I had some surprise people tuning in today, so that's always great. I'm going to try to be a little bit more regular, so I appreciate you all. And everybody have a great day. The NFL is back, but for those that are not playing that well, it's not for long. Get your game up. Get it in gear and get it out of here. Peace and blessings. See you all soon.